Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be able to provide this for my friends. And the way we're going to try to start, if you've got something like this, I do this at home with 2 pillows, guys, super easy. You put your buttocks in front of that and you lay down, right? So that you have this support underneath your spine. Your shoulders get this opening, and then you support the head with the blanket. And if you're like, I don't have that, no worries. You can just lay down on your back. And it's probably going to be a little chaotic in the beginning, just as people are signing in, and I try to keep muting folks. So please forgive me that. So either you're on this setup. If you're not on the setup, literally, you're laying on your back, right? So you've got 2 options. They're both pretty awesome. You also have a couple of options with your legs. If your low back or your hamstrings or buttocks are sensitive, I would say feet on the ground, walk the feet wide, lean the knees in. If you're feeling like legs extended all the way out, feels a little gentler, softer in your body, do that one. Turn your palms up and let your arms come out away from you just a little bit. Some people say 45-degree angle. I'm not much of a math girl, so I think of a little air getting in my armpits, right? And if you turn those palms up and the arms are out a little bit, hopefully those shoulders soften down. My friends who are on the pillow blanket setup, feel how your shoulders get softened down, or I want to say pulled down, but that's pretty aggressive, right? They soften down with gravity and you get that opening across the chest. I'm going to start by talking us all through a body scan. You've got a couple of things you can do with that scan. One is if there's muscular tension, soften the area. The other is, just turning inward. Notice if there's pulsing, throbbing, pain, muscle spasms, temperature change, anything like that. And just, really get in touch with your body this morning. Okay, so let's start up in the forehead and the eyebrows and the muscles around the eyes. And then let that scan come on down to the inside of your mouth. Think about that jaw softening, the tongue softening. And for any of my friends who do not know, if you soften the base of the tongue at the back of the mouth, that actually attaches down in the throat. So when we soften the tongue, we soften the throat. And check into your neck, your shoulders, down into your arms and elbows, forearms, wrists, hands, and fingers. And then bring your awareness up into your chest and your upper back. And when you scan through this area, don't let it just be superficial. Scan everything in between, right? So scanning the chest and the upper back, pardon me, down through that middle rib cage area, down to the belly and the low back, down into the hips. And we're going to pause there for a moment and really go deep down into the hips, down to the sockets where your ball and socket meet, right? And both of them. This is one of the areas that collects the most tension in the body. When we go into our stress response, the very first muscles that start to contract are the muscles down here, right? So I don't know about all y'all, but there's been some stress in the air. Oh, I don't know, this year. So maybe you can soften some of that area a little bit. Yeah, and then go ahead and let that softness go down upper legs, knees, lower legs, ankles, feet, and toes. And we're going to take about 5 more breaths here with the awareness now fully in the breath. And I usually work, and the basis for almost all yoga breathing actually is the soft belly breath, I call it, right? The belly is so soft that when you inhale, the belly floats up away from the spine. And when you exhale, the belly floats back down to the spine. It's just as simple as that. Notice I didn't say easy. It's simple. But I've been doing yoga for 20 years, and I don't think there's one yoga class where I've done the soft belly breath throughout the class, right? We get in a hard position, we hold the breath. Maybe we start to get a little nervous about a pose and we start to breathe really shallow. So just take about 2 more breaths with that soft belly breath, and we'll try to keep coming back to that throughout class. And open the eyes when you're ready. We're going to go ahead and put the feet on the ground with the knees bent if you're not already there. Any of my friends who are on the bolster setup, I'll go back to showing that example. You can stay on the bolster setup for this first bit. Yeah. So from there, you're going to move the arms up a little bit till they're more teed out. Now walk your feet out about as wide as your mat-ish, somewhere around there. So with the feet wide, we take an inhale and we exhale the knees over to the right. Now, we're all in different bodies, so you don't have to go all the way in if it feels like too much for your body. Inhale back up. In yogurt, we call this windshield wiper twist is the nickname. Exhale the knees over to the left. I am not going to assume everyone has experience with yoga here. We've got a whole bunch of new faces. Inhale the knees up. And then one more time, welcome and happy Thanksgiving. Exhale knees to the right, maybe turning the head to the left if the neck's okay with that. And inhale up. And exhale the knees over to the left and the head might turn to the right, depending on how that feels. Inhale back up, and we'll do that one more time, friends. We'll let the knees come over to the right, maybe turn the head to the left. Pause there if it's okay for you to stay here. And then I want you to push the left foot a little bit to the left edge of the mat and hug the left glute in. And when I do that, right, it's not a big move. You can't really see it on me so much. But as I hug that left glute in, hopefully I lengthen through the front of my left thigh a little more. And bring the knees up, bring the head up. Let the knees go over to the left. Head might turn to the right. And again, once you arrive there, maybe pushing the right foot towards the right edge of the mat, hugging the right buttocks in, and maybe I'll get a little extra stretch in the front of that right hip/thigh area. And go ahead and bring those knees up, bring the head up. Walk your feet back into hip distance, and you can stay on the bolster, but if you'd prefer to come off, you sure can. You can bring the knees in, and if you're just laying on your back, you're still bringing the right knee in, yeah? Or I said knees, sorry, only the right knee, right knee, right knee. Now soften those shoulders back down to the ground. And you might just stay right here. Maybe you interlace your hands behind the right thigh and you start to push the right heel up to the sky. And we're going to pulse a few times since we're just saying hi to the hamstrings, right? So go ahead and bend the right knee, any amount, a little, a lot, doesn't matter. And then go ahead and push that right heel back up, working the leg towards straight. It does not have to be straight. Bend that knee a little bit. Don't hurt your hamstring, right? And push that heel up and straighten that leg any amount. Do that one more time, bending the knee. And exhale, pushing that heel up and pause and hold there. Pull the toes back down towards the belly and you might feel the calf activate and lengthen. And then let's go ahead and circle that right foot a couple of times. Now, if it's not comfortable to grab the leg, you can leave your arms on the ground and just have the leg in the air. That's okay. Go ahead and go the other way with the foot. And go ahead and put that foot back down on the ground. Pause for one moment and just notice if you feel any difference between your right leg and your right side body and the left leg and the left side body. And then go ahead and bring that left leg in when you're ready. And again, you can feel free to interlace around the shin, behind the thigh. You can be on the bolster setup, off the bolster setup, and just take a moment hugging the knee in, letting that low back round a little bit, soft shoulders. And then push the left heel up to the sky and let's start to lengthen the hamstring. Right? And again, we're going to do that bend and straighten. So bend the left knee a little, a lot, whatever feels good. And push that heel up, working towards straight, not necessarily too straight. Bend that knee. Don't let that be the objective. And as you push the heel up, really tune into the back of the left thigh. Feel the hamstrings, right? And bend that knee. And we're going to push up. And this time we're going to hold up, right? Any amount. And go ahead and pull the toes back for one moment and lengthen the calf muscle. And then go ahead and circle that left foot a few times, one direction. And just start to open up the ankle joints, open up the foot a little bit. If you have on tighter pants or leggings or whatever, you even notice how it goes all the way to your knee. It's crazy. Go ahead and go the other way. And then put that left foot down on the ground and pause for one moment. Arms are soft and out a little from the side. My friends who are on our bolster setup, now we're going to remove that. So if anyone's still on that setup, just go ahead and push that off to the side. Again, it was just a little extra chest opener today for that, but we'll roll onto our back and we'll all meet there again. So now I want to go ahead and I want to start to warm up our core just a little bit with some light little movements. So bring your arms in and turn your palms down. And if you push gently down into your arms and your shoulders, you might feel how that keeps the collarbone broad, right? Now, from there, I want you to pretend you have a block in between your thighs and push into the imaginary block. Now, if there was a block there, your thighs wouldn't come in and touch each other, but you might feel that resistance and you might feel how the low belly turns on. That's your corset. Awesome sauce. Keep that. Don't lose that. Bring the right leg up, 2, what I call tabletop. Knee is above the hip, heel is directly out from the knee, and bring that down. If this feels like too much, just stay and squeeze the block, right? With the feet on the ground. Move into the imaginary block. If you lost that, bring the left leg up, and that's going to be on your exhale. Now let's add breath. Inhale, slowly bring it down. There's so much good strength to be found right there. Don't just drop the foot. Exhale, right leg comes up in a tabletop. Really keep that belly toned in. Do not overarch the low back. That's the most important piece to me. And bring that down. Not meaning I control the world, but meaning that's really where the good strength is, right? And then bring that left leg up and try not to overbow that low back. And bring that back down. Now we're going to try to add on this time. You're going to bring the right leg up in a tabletop and try to leave it there. If you're like, no way, Jose, go back to what we were just doing. Otherwise, bring the left leg up in a tabletop as well. And again, I'm not moving my thighs together, but I push them into an imaginary block. So I really keep that TA turned on. If this feels like too much, knees closer to the chest is easier on the body. Take another breath here, just holding this, sitting in stillness. Isn't this uncomfortable, right? Bring that left foot down to the ground. Me too. Bring that right foot down to the ground and just pause. Walk the feet wide, lean the knees in, and just take a moment and let that abdominal area be super duper soft now, yeah? We're gonna go into the upper body for a little bit. So tee those arms out to the side, and you're gonna give yourself a hug with your right arm on top. And try to walk those hands down to the inner edge of your shoulder blades. Another way I could say that, your shoulder blades start to move apart to the sides of the body. And for some of my friends, this is plenty. For some of my friends, you might do eagle arms, which is where you wrap your forearms around and your left hand grabs your right thumb pad. If you're like, what are you talking about? Just hug yourself. You'll still get benefit. I swear to goodness, right? Now, any arm variation, you might lift the elbows up just a little bit from the chest, and you might even lift them up towards the sky, and that might separate that area between the shoulder blades. And then breathe in there. Your lungs are right there. You have accessibility to expand the area with the breath, yeah? Do one more inhale into that. Usually I feel this in my right upper trap. And go ahead and let that come down. Tee the arms out. Let the arms rest out by the side and just pause there for a moment. This time, we're going to bring those arms in. We're going to bring our left arm closer to our face. Or if you didn't do that the first time, do the other arm. I have those days too. And try to walk those shoulder blades away from each other, AKA like your hands are walking to the inner edge of your shoulder blade. You might just stay right there. You might bring those arms into that eagle arm kind of posture, right? Where I wrap my forearms around each other and grab my thumb pad. Either variation, you may lift the elbows off the chest a little bit. Please don't go too far. Do not hurt yourself. It's not worth it. Maybe the elbows lift up to the sky. Maybe you go 100 degrees all the time, or whatever 100 degrees means, right? 100% all the time. And maybe today it would feel so much better to just do 45 or 50, right? And bring those arms down and out, tee them out, pause, and just soften for a moment and notice. Bring the arms down by the side, walk the feet back into hip distance. Now we're going to go into an upper back bend for all of us. So go ahead and with the pressure down in the feet, you're going to start to lift your tailbone up, or I could say tuck the tailbone. So don't lift up. If my friends who know bridge, we're not there quite yet, right? I want you to go ahead and I want you to really push the feet down so much your tailbone gets light, but my pelvis is still on the earth, right? And now push into the imaginary block between your thighs again. I love this, by the way. If you ever in a class with me, I'll always make you work with blocks. And then start to roll up one vertebrae at a time while moving into that imaginary block until you're towards your upper back. And then exhale, roll back down, but keep moving into that imaginary block. We're asking that pelvic floor to help us, yeah? Adding on. Inhale, push into the block, roll the pelvis, start to lift up one vertebrae at a time. And if it's okay with your shoulder girdle, you might reach those arms overhead, palms face each other, any amount. And exhale, go ahead and reach down. If you're in a closed space, you could also grab your elbow points, and that might give you the room you need, right? We're gonna do that 2 more times. Inhale, rolling up, same way, maybe arms reaching overhead if the shoulders say, okay, good morning. And exhale, rolling back down. Just feeling that spine out, right? Now we're gonna add a slightly bigger back bend. So inhale, go ahead and reach those arms up as you lift the hips up. If your arms aren't reaching over, we'll meet you in a second. I want you to think of doing a snow angel, right? Where you're gonna swoosh your arms out to the side and bring them down, palms turned up. Don't grab your mat or interlace yet. Go ahead and rock to the right side and try to tuck your left shoulder under you. So you come onto the top of the shoulder, and then do the same thing on the other side. Rock to the left, tuck your right shoulder under you as much as you can. Now push the arms down, reach the chest or open the chest. It's not even reaching it really, right? But keep the neck so uber soft. And now keeping this work, I'm wondering, are you still pressing into that block between the thighs, right? And let's let those shoulders come out and roll down one vertebrae at a time. Pause. You probably want to forward fold real bad, but just pause for a second. Let the spine neutral, right? Let the spine neutral. Yeah, I said that. Go ahead and bring the right knee in and then bring the left knee in. And now let's round that spine. We might even pull our chin towards our chest and round up and tighten into a little ball. And then go ahead and release the upper body back down. But let's rock the knees a little bit from side to side. Now we're going to go into a twist that's a little higher in the spine. You know, that first one, that windshield wiper, was down by the hippies. This one, we're going to try to get more mid-spine. So try to leave the knees towards the chest if it's okay in your body. TD arms out. You know, you could put your feet on the ground if you need to be even gentler, right? You're going to let those knees come over to the right, hugging them initially, but then if the knees want to move away, let them move away a little bit and try to get your right pinky toe to come to the earth if it can, right? And then maybe you turn your head to the left if that feels okay. And that often helps that left shoulder soften down. So this is not a muscular twist. We used muscles to get in, but now soften every muscle from the crown of the head to the tips of the toes and let the body unwind here. Take a big old breath into your left kidney. And exhale, soften. Using the low belly and the left side waist, we're going to come back up through our center, right? Keep the knees towards the chest if it's okay in your body. Let the knees move over to the left. And again, those knees can totally come away once you get there to let the left pinky toe come down. No worries. Maybe the head turns to the right, and does that help your right shoulder soften down? And now scan through your body again and try to soften every muscle, even if it means your right knee moves a little away or whatever that is. And then bring your awareness to your right kidney and inhale into your right kidney. And exhale there. And then go ahead and bring those knees back up. Now you've got two options to come on up. You can grab the backs of the knees and you can rock up with your core muscles. If you have low back sensitivity, you might lift your hips, sit on your hands. This is actually one of my favorite versions to get up if you haven't ever done it before. And you kind of sit on your hands or wrists. You push your heels up to the sky. And as you drop the heels forward, push into the elbows, push into the elbows, push into the elbows, and you do a little teeter-totter to come up. And if you've never done that before, you might try it just for the fun of it. It's one of my favorites. I feel like a kid every time. Okay, let's come on to hands and knees and do a couple of cat cows. I personally have a right knee that gets sensitive, and I'm 47, so I don't monkey anymore. I pad my knees. Join me if you'd like to. Right? If you have sensitive wrists, you've got a fist option, and you could also come to forearms, right? Shoulder blades down the back, reaching the chest forward. And exhale, pull the belly up. And you could also do this on your back if it's hard on your knees to be here. Inhale, shoulder blades down the back, reaching the chest forward. And exhale, pulling the belly in, rounding the spine up. This is cat cow for any of my yogurt friends. Inhale, reach the chest forward. And exhale, round. Anyone who doesn't know me, yogurt is my name for yoga. Don't ask me why. Come back to neutral. Now let's go ahead and we're going to try to work a little strength and open our shoulders a little more. I'm going to move my body back a little bit here so I have a little more mat in front of me. Half downward dog. You're going to leave your hips above your knees, press the feet down, and then start to walk your hands out and walk your hands out and walk your hands out. Now sensitive shoulders, I just wouldn't walk my hands out nearly as far. Or maybe you come to child's pose and do extended child's pose. But if you can, let's work that strength line, right? Push down into your hands and your finger pads and lift those forearms up and really feel those shoulders starting to A, open, and B, strengthen, right? Push the shins back down, feel that low belly tone up, and you might even push into that imaginary block between your thighs. It's a magic tool, my friends. Hopefully every time you do it, you feel that corset turn on. Walk your hands back, enough of that. And now child's pose. If you don't know that one, the knees get to go a little wide, the big toes touch, buttocks towards the heels, forehead to or towards the ground. If that hurts your hips or your knees, I would leave the hips a little higher and build a little forehead pillow with fists or use a block to bring the forehead down, right? You could also lie on your back, but we won't be here too long. Take another breath here. I find that my elbow is a little wider and bringing my hands in can be a little softer in my shoulder girdle for resting. And then we're going to try a downward facing dog. We're going to all come to extended child's pose first. So go ahead and reach the arms out and plant your palms down, your finger pads, right? Forearms lift. So you can stay here if you're feeling like you don't want to do downward dog. Otherwise, inhale, keep your upper body. You just built a downward dog arms, right? Curl your toes under and exhale back into that downward facing dog. Everybody bend your knees for a little bit. With the knees bent, I'm wondering if you can push your hips further back and tone that upper mid back in towards the chest, yeah? And then maybe those heels start to reach down any amount, but maybe they don't today. Take another breath, soft neck, soft jaw. And then go ahead and walk your hands back to your feet. Let's all meet in a forward fold towards the back of our mat. Herniated or bulging discs, you would stay up and we'll meet you there. Hands on the shins, reach the chest forward and come halfway up and lengthen the spinal column. And exhale, folding in. We're gonna do that same thing, Ardha Uttanasana it's called, one more time. Hands on the shins, shoulder blades down the back and reaching the chest forward. Stay there. Now move into your imaginary block. You're getting used to that, right? And then put your hands on your hips, elbows up, and reach the chest forward. The longest spine you can possibly find comes up with you when you arrive, yeah? And then we're gonna come to the top of our mat. If you want a knee pad, leave it there. We're gonna do a little lunge work. Inhale, reach those arms out and up. We're just gonna kind of go right into it, friends. Exhale and fold. And if you're like, lunge work, I don't know what that is. Well, that's why I'm here. Inhale, reach the chest forward. My block friends, you can come on the blocks or hands on the ground. You're gonna step that left foot way back. Yeah. Now, if your knee doesn't go do okay on the ground, you can leave it lifted. You're just gonna have to work a lot harder, right? Otherwise, left knee comes down, uncurl the toes and inhale up into a low lunge. Let's say hi to the front of that hip. So today I'll do some strength, but it's not going to be crazy strengthening. It's going to be more about just like getting into our body and being grateful for what we have in there, right? So the left hip pulling up all the way through the left fingertips. The more I push my left shin down, the more that amplifies that stretch in there, right? Right hand on the right thigh and lengthen out of that left side waist, leaning over to the right. And hopefully you feel that top line of the psoas as it goes over the side of the hip. And coming back through center, we're gonna go right into a twist. You're gonna lengthen that left arm out and bring that hand down on a block or the ground, either one, under the shoulder. Reaching the chest forward, turn towards the right leg, right? Move that right hip in and back, and maybe that right arm extends out of the shoulder, but it might just stay on the hip the whole darn time, yeah? Depends on what feels good in your body. Sensitive wrist friends, remember you could go to a fist or left arm could come onto the right leg. Take another breath there and bring the hand down. And we're gonna try to step back to downward dog. You could just simply let the right foot go out. That's the gentler version. Or you might curl the toes under and step it back, right? Remember, you can do extended child's pose if you don't wanna do downward dogs today. And again, I have many different levels and different body types with me today. So we're just gonna go through nice and easy. Take an inhale. Walk your hands back to your feet on the exhale. Hands on the shins, reach the chest forward, move into the block. Hands on the hips, elbows up, come all the way up. Walk to the top of your mat. Inhale. Nice and easy. Exhale, soft shoulders, soft jaw. Inhale, reaching the chest forward. Bending the knees, planting the hands, and stepping the right foot way back. Knee could stay lifted. It's a lot more work. Otherwise, bring the right knee down if the knee's okay with it and inhale up into your low lunge, right? And again, move the hips back far enough that you don't end up crunching that low back. You really want to find a neutral pelvis and the longest spine you can possibly find. And then from there, bring the left hand to the left thigh, lengthen out of the right side waist and lean a little over towards the bent knee side, that left side, and feel the top part of that psoas as it goes over the hip. And breathe. Coming back up to center, moving to our twist. Right hand reaches forward and comes down on a block or the ground under the shoulder. Before you twist, get long. Inhale, get space between the vertebrae, lengthen. Exhale, now twist towards the left, towards that left knee. Maybe that left arm reaches up, or maybe it stays on the hip today, or the thigh, whatever feels groovy. And again, notice where you're coming from this morning. Is it like, I'm going to eat a lot, so I've got to work as hard as I can because I've got to be able to earn my food? And is that really you working with your body? Maybe you've been working like crazy all week, and it would feel so much nicer to just move so gently. Turn and look down, bring the hand down. We're doing twists after the holidays, people, to get rid of all that stuff. Don't worry. Curl the toes under and step back to a downward dog. Again, a gentler version, friends, I'll show you. You walk the left foot out wide, you go back to hands and knees, and then you push up in a downward dog. Or you go down to child's pose, whatever works. And hopefully, wherever you are, you're breathing. Do you remember that soft belly breath we started class with? You notice now how much harder it is to keep the soft belly breath going? Or is that just me? Take an inhale. And with an exhale, go ahead and walk your hands back to your feet. Hands on the shins, reaching that chest forward. Exhale, folding in. Hands on the hips, elbows up, longest spine you ever did, fine. So we get core work on the way up to standing, yeah? Bring those arms on down. Hopefully our body is starting to feel a little warmer. So let's go ahead and let's move into some standing poses. I'm gonna move a blanket off now so I have my full sticky mat. If you don't have a sticky mat and you're not on that surface, just please be cautious. You're not gonna slide. I don't want anyone to get a groin pull or anything. And any of my friends who know balance is a little bit of an issue, I bet you anything you've got some kind of chair or something around you can have near you, and I'll talk about that. So go ahead and step your feet out nice and wide. Long edge of your mat, right? And then from there, we're gonna go into Warrior Two series here. So we're gonna turn our left toes in, and I am mirroring you, and that whole right leg out. So we should hopefully look like we're in a mirror facing each other, right? And then inhale those arms out wide. And exhale, nice and gently, we're just gonna coax it open, bend the right knee. But then inhale and straighten the right knee. So let's just move. And I know some of my friends have knee issues. They're not bending as deep. No worries. What you can do is awesome. Bending in, thanking those knees for all the miles we put on them, right? And inhale up. We're gonna try and hold this one. You could keep moving on the breath. Exhale, bend on in. I never say 90 degrees because everybody's got a different body, right? But push that back heel down so that back thigh is active, right? Find that you have some weight in that right heel. It's not all in your toes. And then the hamstring starts to turn on. All bodies should be able to pull that heel back a little bit. And when you traction that heel back, holy crap, my hamstring just turned on. And maybe you can come in lower. Don't hurt your knee to do that. If I could, I would put my hand on everybody's back left hip and I would move that in and forward so that your hips got a little more neutral. And ooh, there's some good juju right there, yeah? Now let's go ahead and turn our palms up to soften the shoulders down. With the palms turned up and the shoulders down, maybe you turn and look over the right fingers. If that hurts your neck, why on earth are you doing that? I love you so much, right? Now lengthen that right arm forward and bring that arm elbow down to the leg, right? Even if the knee isn't that bent, you could probably still manage that, or you could put your hand on your thigh. Reach that top arm, if it's available in your shoulder, all the way over, bicep next to ear, and push that left heel down like the Dickens and reach through that. And I forgot to show it, but right, chair is right here if I need balance help. No worries, top hand can come on that. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead, try to keep your legs. I'm taxing them. I'm trying to do it on purpose. Here's our strength. Don't change the legs, but come up to Warrior Two. But if you're like, I have to, straighten the leg and bend in and join us when you can. Bring your left hand down, reach your right arm up. Keep that left hip heavy, right hip, sorry, as you lengthen out of it, moving into what is called reverse warrior. Soften your shoulders away from your ears, maybe turning and looking past the right bicep-ish, whatever that is in your body. Keep your legs if you can. Move into Warrior Two. Now straighten the legs. Woo! Hi, good morning. Turn the toes forward. So grateful for these beautiful bodies. Look at all the stuff they're doing already this morning. Holy crap. Turn your right toes in or kick the heel back. Turn the whole left leg out. Even with our injuries and our idiosyncrasies, beautiful, beautiful bodies. Inhale those arms out. Exhale, bending left knee. And again, don't be in a big rush. Inhale and straighten. We're just saying, hey, pelvis, what's going on? Right? Exhale, bend left knee. And inhale, straighten. You can leave your hands on your hips the whole time, by the way. Bend on it, and this time you're gonna stay here. How low? I'm not gonna say that. What's happening with your knee, right? What's happening with your body? But if you push that right heel down and work that right thigh, that's a helpful support tool. And if you put a little more weight in that right heel, it usually turns on more the muscles to support you in Warrior Two. Maybe you traction that left heel back and holy hammy, woo! woo, right? Now bring that hand, or imagine my hand in your right hip crease, and move that right hip in and down, right, towards that front knee. And whoa, there it is, right there. Now arms out again, palms up if it's okay, shoulders soften down, and then keep your chest towards the long edge of your mat, but try to turn your head towards the left hand-ish, right? And breathe. Side angle. Lengthen, lengthen out over the left side. Bring that arm or hand down. That right arm is going to try to reach all the way over, right? Bicep next to ear-ish. Pushing the right heel down, I lengthen out of that. That's my anchor, that back heel, right? Right shoulder is hopefully soft. Try to soften it if it's not. Where's that soft belly breath, by the way, right? It gets harder, doesn't it? And coming up, keep the legs if you can. If you can, otherwise straighten the leg and come join us when you can, not a big deal. Right hand to the right thigh, left arm reaches up. Keep that left hip heavy as you lengthen out of that side waist into what's called reverse warrior. And again, the trick to the neck and the turning, get the shoulders out of the ears. If the shoulders are out of the ears, the neck can turn so much easier, right? It's not constricted, or restricted might be a better word. Warrior two, you're almost there, I promise. Whew, straighten those legs. Turn the toes forward. Now look at your feet and make sure that your feet are not turning out the duck, right? If you feel like you're tight in your inner groin, you could shorten your stance, and or turning the toes even a little pigeon-toed can be a helpful tool, yeah? If you're not sure, just try it. But don't go to duck land, right? I love ducks, but don't do duck feet right now. Elbows back, lengthening, lengthening, lengthening. Interlace your hands behind you, clasp thumbs. Maybe you use strap, maybe you grab the bottom of your shirt, maybe your arms just face each other, right? All of these are beautiful. And as you reach the knuckles back and down, reach the chest forward and up. Now we're going to try and keep that same spine even as we fold forward. I'm going to suggest you bend your knees just a little bit, yeah? Even if you're like, no, I got this, I do this all the time. Hold on, hold your horses, I'll get you there. And as their knuckles reach back, your chest reaches forward. Your knuckles reach back, your chest reaches forward. And you fold until you're about parallel to the ground with your spine, yeah? Now, can your shoulders move up to the sky more here? But as your shoulders lift and the upper or the most of the spine stays long, can your head soften in a little bit? Maybe the legs straighten a little bit. And then maybe there's more of a fold here for you, but don't round the spine to get the fold. It's not about the fold right now. It's about the spine, right? And the shoulders. Maybe the knuckles reach up to the sky and you start to move your hands away from your back waist, your buttocks, right? Some of my friends, if you're hypermobile and you're almost touching the ground with your pinky fingers, you might find out where your stability lies and not go into the flexibility. You don't need more flexibility usually, right? Different bodies, different things. All of us are going to bring our hands to our low back and waterfall the hands down. Inhale, come halfway up again and lengthen the body. Feel free to keep the knees bent, right? And then go ahead and fold back in with that length, softening in once you get there. And if it's okay for your hands to grab your outer ankles, that's our variation we're going to take today. If you need them underneath your head or your shoulders, please do, not a big deal. And as you pull lightly against the ankles, right, soften the shoulders up away from the ears. And take a breath. Come back to that soft belly breath. Now to come out of this, we're going to come halfway up. So walk your hands under your shoulders and bring the spine up. Some of my friends, this is core work, by the way. You could bend the knees, walk the feet in a little bit, and come out a different way. If it's okay from here, come onto fingertips, bend the knees a little bit, everybody, and reach the chest forward and tone the low belly in. So imagine you have a big beach ball between your thighs you're moving into. Now put your left hand on your hip, elbow up. Put your right hand on your hip, elbow up. I'm hovering, right? Move into that imaginary beach ball and come up and come up and come up and come up and come up. Whew. Couple of options. If you're feeling kind of sprightly, bring the fingertips together, bend the knees, jump in as your arms go wide. If you're like, oh, heck no, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, heel toe, step, step. And breathe. Sometimes even when I'm feeling sprightly, my legs are like, And breathing. Okay, I'm just gonna move some things so there's a little more visibility here. I'm trying to think what else I want us to do while we're on our feet. I'd like to go into warrior one, just so we open up that front line again. Most all of us, just in today's society, but especially, with the pandemic sitting down so much, with doing school online and all the things. So we're gonna try and go the other way a little bit, yeah? Come on up to the top of your mat. Hands on the hips. Any of my friends who have low back sensitivities, by the way, you could be next to a counter. I'll show that variation in a little bit. And from there, you're going to step your left foot back and straighten the right leg initially. If you're working with a chair or a surface, you want to be pretty close to that, yeah? And then from there, let that left heel come down. So if it can't come down, step a little forward. And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to try to turn that left hip forward towards the front edge, right? And now go ahead and bend the right knee. If you have that, the chair, you're going to push into it and pull the frontal hip points up. My friends who don't have the chair, you're going to reach up and you're going to grab your elbow points, right? And then I want you to pull your elbow flesh up and try to lengthen out of that back waist as much as you can and get the longest low back you can possibly find. And maybe with a little weight in the right heel, you can bend deeper, but do not compromise the low back for that. It is not worth it at all. Reach the arms up. Going for a little upper back bend here. Some of us are going to bring our elbows out to the side to what I call saguaro cactus arms. Without your ribs flaring too much, let the elbows move a little further behind you, whatever that is in you. Feel that chest opening and think of the chest reaching up, right? Maybe the neck follows that and you end up gazing up slightly. Some of my friends reach the arms up, palms maybe come together and those fingertips reach up, 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 lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. And bring the hands down onto your chair if you're working with a chair or not. Hands on the hips. I'm going to talk us through what I call Warrior 3 Light, right? So if you're with me on that journey, you're going to come onto the ball mounds of the left foot. You're going to come a little forward with the body, what I call jackknife. Now push your heel back and reach your chest forward, shoulders up, shoulder heads up to the sky, right? Keep toning the belly. Try to lift the left heel. And as the leg lifts, the chest comes down. And then I straighten my right leg and I bring my left foot next to my right foot. Just a little play with Warrior 3 in balance. And you can just step the foot forward too. Bending the knees, go ahead and step the right foot back. Again, you want that right heel to make it down, right? Straighten that front leg until we get those hips a little more square. Try to reach that, work that right hip forward, getting a little more parallel. Now from there, bend that left knee a little bit. We'll get into a deeper bend in a hot second. Some of my friends on the chair, push into the chair, frontal hip points spun up. My other friends, other forearm on top as you grab your elbow points. Now, when you pull the elbow flesh up, that should help you lengthen your low back tremendously, right? That back waist. Now keep that, put a little more weight in the left heel, and maybe you can bend deeper in, but not at the expense of the low back. Don't do it. It's so not worth it. I did it for years without kind of realizing the damage I would do, and then I was in a lot of pain. Go ahead and reach the arms out to saguaro cactus. Reach the elbows back, keep the low back long. Reach the fingertips up, 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 up. Maybe palms touch and they lengthen and reach up. Maybe the neck follows the upper back. And bring the hands down onto the hips. You can use the chair to step forward or Warrior 3 Light. We come onto the ball mounds of the right foot. We come into jackknife. Heel back, chest forward, so you find your low belly toning. And then as I put my weight in my left foot and lift the right leg, right, I start to level out my torso. Straighten the left foot as I fall over and put the right leg next to the left. Or the foot, not the leg. And breathe. And you can hear it in my breath. Where's your soft belly breath, right? Come back to that. So we got one more challenge on the way down. This is going to be the strongest part of class that we're doing right now, friends. If anyone's like, holy crap, right? And for my friends who are like, I need more. Well, after you're done eating, maybe you go for a run. You can have your feet hip distance or you can walk them together. Either one's totally fine. We're going to go through chair pose. My regulars, you know it well. My friends who aren't regulars, just so you see it real quick, don't do it quite yet, right? My other friends, watch with your two eyes. We're going to start to sit down. And I'm going to torture you just a little bit. I'm going to have you come up and I'll talk you through some specifics in that. But where we're going to head is time number 3. We're going to try to hover. We're going to try to drop down, right? And then keeping that low belly toning, we're going to maybe try to bring that down to the ground. I worked a lot of years to get that, so don't think it's going to look like that or feel like that exactly this first time if you've never tried it. If you're like, heck no, Crystal Joy Johnson, not a big deal. There are a million other ways to get to your buttocks, yeah? Okay, but try to do the chair part with me, this part right here. Bring your arms out in front of you. Move into an imaginary block between your hands, right? Feel that upper back fire up. Into the imaginary block between your thighs, feel your low belly and your pelvic floor. Now, on an exhale, you're gonna start to sit down and the arms start to reach up, right? And then with an inhale, push into the heels and come on up. So first, a little conditioning, right? Try not to round the low back. So don't drop too low with it. Keep the weight in the heels and come on up. This time we're gonna work it a little and then we'll hover and come down. Pull, sit down, right? So go ahead and reach the arms up, weight in the heels, move the shins back, pull the low belly up and tone, move into that block, I could say, right? Now, can your shoulder blades move towards the buttocks and your chest reach further forward, like when we had our arms over our head just moments ago? And then we're gonna try to come down and come down, keep moving into the blocks, into the blocks, into the blocks. A little plop is just fine. Come down a different way if you're like, heck no. If you just rolled onto your back, no big deal. Come up to seated, we'll be there in a little bit. Good morning. Are we so grateful for these beautiful bodies doing all this stuff? Even if you can't do every single thing I say, who cares? Who gives a crap? Your body is moving and shaking. Okay. You're gonna bring the right leg up, do it now. I sound a little demanding. And you might sit upon something to give your pelvis a little help finding neutral, right? And you can sit up on a chair and do this as well. I'll show that in a second. You can hug with the left arm and bring the right fingertips behind you. And inhale, get super duper tall. And we always want height before we twist, right? So we don't hurt our little discs. Now you're gonna start to turn towards that bent knee, towards that right side. Try to keep the spine as long as you can. Try not to lean back too much, right? So if I think of my spine often in twists as being a metal rod, right? Or almost like a door hinge. And so I keep that long length. I just slowly rotate each vertebrae in. Check into your neck. If it's forcing the twist, let it go. The neck is not in charge of the twist. The side waist, the low belly can help. That's for certain. Now keep your shoulders where they are, your chest, and turn your head and look over your left shoulder-ish. Try to keep the chin fairly parallel to the ground, right? And take a little counter twist. Work that right shoulder back as the head turns to the left, and then turn everything forward. Keep the knee there. We're building on from there. That knee is gonna come out to the side. I have some friends today that I know have sensitive hips and knees, so we might, right, have the foot out further or support it. No big deal. That left leg, I like my left leg to go a little wider. It just feels a little more comfortable in my personal body. And then get long, get nice and tall, right? Now we're gonna frame this straight leg, this left leg with our hands, and we're gonna try to use our hands on the ground to turn our abdomen a little bit to the leg. And then we're gonna start to fold out over said leg. And then grab the shin, even if your foot grabber, hold on, I'll get you there, I promise. Pull the shin back and reach the chest forward, shoulder blades down the back. Sink the right buttocks, steer the belly towards the left thigh, and come on down. Now, my suggestion for today's class is maybe that right hand comes to the outside of the left leg, and then you can kind of push and glide forward and pull gently out of that right side waist. And when I say gently, that means your jaw is not clenched. That means your left shoulder or your right shoulder's not all the way up in your ear, right? Try to find that happy medium where you're working with strength and you are sturdy, but you find softness as well. And it's a balance. I tend to be a very aggressive mover. It took me years to learn to soften. Some of us were a lot of soft, and maybe we could use a little more oomph. Inhale, reach the chest forward and come on up. And we're gonna let that leg come back out. Bringing the left leg up. Maybe the foot's further forward, not a big deal, right? It doesn't have to look like a yoga journal magazine cover. Go ahead and grab the left leg with the right arm, left fingertips behind you. Inhale and get tall, 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 tall. Exhale, start to move into the twist. Start with your low back and then your mid back and then your upper back and then the neck. The neck is the last thing. And don't make it work too darn hard, yeah? Technically, when I teach, I even say, even the arms, they're only doing 25, maybe 30%. The rest of that should be in your core line. And for my friends who don't know me well, when I mean core, I mean everything that helps the spine from between your ears all the way down to your hips, those muscles. Now keep your chest where it is. Turn the head to look over the right shoulder-ish. That doesn't have to go all the way. Don't hurt your neck. Ask that left shoulder, see if that left shoulder can move back behind you a little more, even as the head turns. That's a range of motion, right? Mobility. And turn the body forward. We're going to let this left leg come out to the left, supporting it however we need to, moving the foot forward. What do you need to do with that, right? So it feels okay. I'm going to support my knee today. It's a little sensitive. Let that right leg come out a little bit. Bring your fingertips behind you first and find the length of the spine, yeah? But then frame the right leg and start to fold over the right leg, trying to steer the belly a little bit as you do. Grab your shin. We're going to use it as a lever, right? We're going to pull against that shin to reach our chest forward, but sink your left buttocks bone back down because it probably came with you. Steer the belly button towards the right thigh and come on down. Maybe left hand, outer right leg, and a gliding forward and pushing against the leg, trying to pull out of the left side back waist. I always call this area that I'm trying to get into the area kind of around the corner from the love handle. Soft neck, soft jaw. If all you're feeling is right hamstring, bend the right knee a little bit. That might help you find that area of the low back without it being about your hamstring. And inhale, come on up. Let that leg come on out in front of you again. One more forward fold, and then we're on our backs. So from there, knees can totally be bent. You can be on something, but get as tall as you can. I'm going to ask for a little core on the way in. You don't have to do it if you're like, nah, I'm done. Reach the arms up and pause, or the hands just stay right by your side, right? But when the arms move up, hopefully the spine didn't buckle behind you. Hopefully you're still able to find the length. Move into an imaginary block between your thighs. Notice how that helps the pelvic floor. Soft shoulders, soft tongue, soft jaw. Now we're going to start our fold forward. Don't just let your chin go, right? From the pelvis. Hinge. And right about here, I can no longer get my pelvis to join me. So I bring my hands down, right? I'm going to pull my elbows wide and pull against my legs to pull my chest forward, my buttocks bones back. And then right there, I'm like, yeah, this is the spot, right? I can slip my hands forward to wherever they're going to reach. I can soften in. Please soften the shoulders once you're there. Feel free to leave the knees bent the whole time if that helps your pelvis find its way. And most importantly, soft belly breath. So hopefully, maybe even throughout your day, you're remembering that soft belly breath in. It is literally the tool that I use more than any other tool I've learned in these 20 years of doing this yoga stuff, right? And taking mental health workshops and trauma workshops and you name it. The breath, the breath, the breath, the breath, the breath. So speaking of the breath, these are super fine-tuned, small, subtle movements. When you inhale, I wonder if your spine can get a little longer. And I don't mean you're coming up 3 inches. And when you exhale, I wonder if you can soften in a little bit more. Let's try that one more time. Inhale, let the spine grow a little longer. And exhale, let the spine soften. Now let's inhale and reach the chest forward and walk our hands back to come on up. We're going to come down onto our backs. And when you do, I'd love you to go through core, but you don't have to, right? So feet on the ground. I build it in, so instead of having to do 100 sit-ups and all that stuff, I don't believe in that anyway. I think we're often working the wrong muscles. But bringing it in this way, little bits and pieces throughout the class, you've got a big core workout, whether or not you realize it or not. Move into your block, even if it's imaginary. I'm just showing you in case, right? Moving into that block, shoulder blades down the back. Reach the arms forward, push into another block between your hands. Now, go ahead and push your ball mounds of your feet down, your big toes, but pull your low belly and start to round the back so you roll onto the upper rim of the pelvis. But can your shoulder blades still move down and help the chest lift as a counter to that action? And there might be a plop, and that's okay. And then from there, go ahead and bring those knees in and let that spine round a little bit. Maybe just a gentle rocking motion from right to left. We're almost in Shavasana, friends. And then cross your right ankle over your left, but this time let your knees go a little wide. So kind of like a happy baby on your back, right? And grab the shins or behind the knees, whatever works for you. And your legs can be higher if your knees need the space, yeah? And this time I'm going to ask you to do a full body rock. What do I mean by that? Your left shoulder lifts at the same time as the hip, and you kind of roll and the right elbow catches you, right? And then you roll and you rock all the way over to the left elbow. And just do that a few times for yourself. If it's painful, sure, don't do it, yeah? If it feels foolish, please still do it. So rocking, there's a reason we rock babies to sleep and it works and they fall asleep. It's very soothing for the central nervous system. That is true of adults as well, right? So just rock yourself a little bit. And if you're like, I don't want to rock myself, you're massaging your whole back body as you do this. That's the other reason, right? And then go ahead and come back to your center. And let's go into one more twist. This twist goes something, or actually, you know what? I wanted to do buttocks. Pardon me, I'm going to add something in. So right ankle on the left knee. Flex the right foot to protect the knee. Some of my friends are like, yep, feeling the right glutes. Your left foot could go further away if you need the space, by the way. Maybe you put the foot on a block, maybe you bring the left leg in and interlace behind the thigh. Now, counter to a lot of people's belief, it's not about the left knee coming into the chest. Keep your spine long, find your natural lumbar curve again, flex the right foot and let the right femur bone rotate in the socket, AKA move your knee away from you, but don't move from the joint, move from the femur bone, right? And then, yeah, maybe you can bring the legs a little closer, but that's what's going to isolate it in that right glute a lot more, right? And that's what I'm really interested in. I'm interested in your right buttocks. I bet someone doesn't say that to you very often. I'm super interested in your right buttocks, but I am. I love your buttocks and I want your buttocks to be able to have a little stretch here. And then from there, go ahead and bring that left foot down to the ground and bring the right foot down to the ground and pause. Notice your right buttocks, notice your left buttocks. And left ankle, right knee. Again, you can walk the right foot away, you can put the foot on a block, or you might bring the legs in and interlace. First motion, left foot flexes, that's your left knee protection. And before you hug the knees too close, lengthen the spine and find your lumbar curve. Try to keep your lumbar curve, move your left thigh away from you, and then hug the right leg in. And hopefully that series gets you nice and squarely in the left buttocks. Yeah? Usually this is stretching the gluteus maximus, the biggest one we have, but you might be feeling it in one of the others as well. Breathing. And bring the right foot down, bring the left foot down. And actually, if you want to twist, let's do a quick windshield wiper, but then I'd love to get you in Shavasana so we have time to just lay still for a moment and let this integrate. Tee the arms out, walk the feet wide, and just let your knees rock back and forth a couple of times, right? Your own pace, your own timing. That said, don't move too fast. You kind of take away some of what we've been doing in class that way, yeah? And after you've done it, I don't know, 1, 2, 3 times, whatever feels groovy, we'll move into what's called Shavasana, right? So you can either just leave the feet wide and lean the knees in like we did at the beginning, or you can extend the legs all the way out. And your body may feel very differently right now than it did at the beginning. So whatever feels right is what's right. There's not a better one. And then sliding those shoulder blades down just a little bit, arms out, palms up, looking for that place where that beautiful, beautiful heart center is wide open. It houses your thymus gland, it houses your lungs, it houses your heart. There's some pretty important stuff in there. Hopefully on the center of the back of the skull, the eyes are closed. You no longer need to see me. And release from the crown of the head down all the way through the tippy toes. Soften every single muscle. And once you scan the body and the body feels like it's as soft as it can be, bring your awareness into the breath. And you're no longer trying to control the breath. Now we come to a point where we're just trying to observe it. So play with that, trying to let the breath be its natural rhythm and just observing. And we're going to be here for about 2 minutes. Try, if you can, challenge yourself, I'll say, to stay physically still. And just let the body integrate that whole almost hour now of practice that we've done. And this is where the mind gets really busy and maybe it starts to go to memories or maybe it starts to go to planning, the to-do list, right? No big deal. It's called the default mode network. It's actually, I mean, neurologists have a name for it. It's where we spend the majority of our time in our brain. But for right now, we're asking that brain to come back to the breath. I say that brain, that mind, to come back to the breath. And it'll wander off again. Sometimes I don't even get through an inhale and my mind has wandered again, right? But in the beginning, I used to get pissed about it. I suck at meditation. This is terrible. I'm horrible at this. I don't even want to do it. And now I just use it as a way to observe where I'm at, right? I'm much gentler and kinder with myself. And of course, that's not just on my mat. I'm starting to take that everywhere. So we are witnesses. And when we witness ourselves go off into thought, no big deal. We just bring our mind back to our breath. And then now we're going to start doing baby movements. The first movement, if it's okay, is let your head just really gently rock to the right and back to center and to the left. That can be a very small motion if you have sensitivity in your neck. It doesn't have to be huge by any means, nor should it be huge, quite honestly. And then maybe you reach your arms overhead, if that's okay with your shoulder girdle, and you maybe point your toes and flex your feet a couple of times, or if your knees are together, you would just reach your hands back, right? And then let's all bring our feet onto the ground, knees bent. Roll over to the fetal position. You might even roll into a smaller ball and just pause and rest on that top arm or wrist. And then my last request here, well, here from lying down, I've got 20 more requests probably. You're going to turn your head down and then your eyes can stay closed, but keep your head turned down and push with that top hand. And then hopefully that neck doesn't work so hard to try to get the full weight of your body up, right? And coming up to seated or kneeling. I like to give myself height. It's just my pelvis likes it a lot. It's the best gift for the pelvis, right? And we won't be here long. You don't have to look like me. You don't have to sit like me. I'm usually kneeling, quite honestly, because my hip doesn't like to be here long. And palms up or down on your thighs. All we're trying to do, wherever you're sitting on a chair, you name it, is find an erect spine. But as I was, pardon me, mentioning earlier, is you want to find the strength to have a long spine, right? The sturdy quality. But then can you soften around that? Your shoulders, your jaw, your tongue, all the other stuff that doesn't have to be working so darn hard. Bring your hands together in front of your chest. Join me there. We'll take an inhale. Keep your chest lifted, but bow your head. And let's take a moment of gratitude. It is Thanksgiving after all, right? And I meant to bring that up more in class, but I kept saying things to keep people safe in their bodies rather than bringing up love and abundance, right? The Carnegie space that I'm in right now is so generously donated to me by the city. They're allowing me to be here while I can't teach classes for them. So thank you so much for them. I'd like to put that out there too. And these bodies, again, they may not look the way we want them to. They may not move the way we want to. We might have lost some movement, injured, We can go on and on. All of us have something we wish was slightly different in our body. But quite honestly, like these bodies, they kick ass. They're pretty awesome. And I hope we're grateful for them. And even though we can't necessarily be with all of our loved ones in the ways that we traditionally are today, I bet you we can all afford to put food on our table and we're all going to be eating a meal. Like that's pretty darn awesome. Be grateful. Namaste, friends. The other thing I wanted to say, a quote that I love right now that I'm working with is, the more you're grateful for what you have, the more you have to be grateful for. And for me, that's pretty mind-blowing, profound. May you all have just the happiest Thanksgiving, even if it's not the way it usually is. Thank you for joining me.